The romantic poet look into themselves, seeking their own life for strange sensation. With Wordsworth, such sensations have a moral value and are often associated with simple and human subject. With Byron, they arise from the exotic process of the some mood or adventure in which man has seldom known before. With Coleridge, they lead to the dream tragedy of Xanadu. In romantic poetry, there is a sense of wonder of life seen with new sensibilities and refreshed vision. This strangeness of the individual experience lead each of the romantics to a spiritual loneliness. They were keenly aware of their social obligations, but the burden of an experiential vision of life drives them into being almost fugitives of their fellow men. This sense is present in all of them. The organization point of the moment is losing for freedom from all that restricts and confines. It presents a mood of emotional restlessness or dissatisfaction with the existing world of things and a desire to escape into a ideal world. This longing of the ideal or a utopia is implicated in all romantic poetry. These scenes can be found most strongly in Shelley, who seems ever more content and amid to the dead lives. The moonlit waters and the ghosts are in the place where men inhabit. Shelley's poetry is often a verse yearning the unsustainable. Okay. The passionate yearning may often lead to a note of frustration, the pain of non fulfillment, and then the poet expresses a deep dejection. The subjective elements of the predominance in romantic poetry. The poet broods upon his sorrows and suffering from the loneliness of his mind. He would escape into the loneliness of the nature. This is the lines of poetry which can be indicate as a inverted comma, this type of things in the middle of your writings. Okay. Romanticism is thus a longing for an escape into some ideal surrounding with the help of imagination. It is the characteristic by it is characterized by passion, scarcity or intensity of the feeling of wonder and mystery that belongs to a strange experience. Romantic imagination is subjective and intuitive. Okay, the poet use word not only to signify but to suggest. Now, naturalism. Romantic poetry gives a new connection of nature. The romantic poets have a new attitude to nature. Nature acquired a significance and importance of its own. At its simplest, the poet brooded upon its beauty and its variety, its form and its color, and all those subtle evasive qualities that endows it with magic and mystery. At the same time, nature appeared to the poet to be alive and sentient and evolved with the personality that made intercommunication with the poet possible and pleasurable. Okay. Wordsworth exhibit this quality with the utmost subtlety and depth, but it is exhibited with varying emphasis and nonsense by all the poets. It was primarily achieved in the two ways that Wordsworth and Coleridge noted when they planned to a new poetry of lyrical palettes. First, by faithful adherence to the truth of the nature which comes from an intimate association with it, and secondly, by throwing over nature a coloring of the imagination, which gives it interest of novelty, intimacy, develop a personal attitude, and establish a deep emotional kinship between man and nature, which Wordsworth called organic sensibility. Okay. Now, mysterism. The romantic poets had a visionary power. Vision was a grateful gift of the romantic poet. Okay, all the greater romantic poets claim to possess a spiritual awareness, which is a kind of vision that seems into life of the things. To some as a Blake or Shelley, it comes as a lighting flash, bezels with illuminate feeling, poet with rapture and electricity. Wordsworth records his flashes by mystical institution in the lines written above. Tanton away. Wordsworth writes of a process when he are able to transcend our physical limitation and acquire purely spiritual experience. These lines, okay. Kids achieve this visionary quality through a process of empathy and identification of the self with not self. This made him realize truths that are beyond reasoning and resolve as a beauty. What the imagination sees as must be true, he said. The characteristic of the vision or spiritual perception is power to see one behind the many, the spirit behind matter. This is called mysticism. The spirit behind matter. Okay, this is called mysticism. This is a kind of yoga or a realization of truth through personal union with it. To the mystic, all phenomena are but only windows opening out into the infinite. Mysticism is allied to the uncultural, pantheistic, and romantic poet who achieved the spiritual and through the universe. Through Coleridge has a clear concept of philosophical fatalism. Its best expression in the poetry of Words and Shelley. Okay. Now, humanism. The romantic poet tends to ignore the human world, but they were interested not in the social man but in the universal man. Wordsworth has deeply influenced by the Rousseau's nature philosophy. Wordsworth, like Rousseau, believed in the education of the nature. Wordsworth found the nature man in the rural surrounding. Byron and Shelley were more concerned with the realism. Intellect with alone could not restore. The common feature in the humanism is this is lawfully regard for the dignity of man as man. The Renaissance poet look upon the man with wonder and admiration, which is expressed by Shakespeare in Hamlet. The emphasis in the Renaissance literature is on the perfection of from the reflect identity of the soul. But the romantic poet regard man purely from the spiritual standpoint. The glory of man was proclaimed differently from the Renaissance poet, but with the equal flavor. Okay, so ये रीड आउट कर लिया हमने. आई नो लॉट्स ऑफ मिस्टेक होगी इसमें, बट आई एम जस्ट अ स्टूडेंट एंड रीडिंग दिस एज यू रीड, so don't judge and just understand. So this and this and this, okay, and last this. Okay, bye everyone.